Hello, good day, and welcome to the Unscripted Topic. I'm your host, Giovanni Africa, and today we'll be diving into teenage pregnancies that is prevalent and on the increase in South Africa and in Cape Town in particular. So, why this topic is so important to me and close to heart is because of personal experiences. So, I have a cousin, he's 17 years old, and the girlfriend, which is 14 years old, and they fell victim to teenage pregnancy. And I can tell you from personal experience that with their pregnancy, it really readjusted our whole family dynamic, and we had to assist them in various ways. So, one thing I can tell you, teenage pregnancy brings a lot of obstacles in households and a lot of situations which was not planned for. So today, I just want to delve into some stats that has been captured from the year 2024 up to 2025. So in South Africa alone, we had 90,000 teenage pregnancies recorded. I repeat, 90,000 teenage pregnancies. I was so shocked when I read the stats, everyone. I was so shocked. And then in the Cape Town municipality in particular, we had over 5,900 teenage pregnancies. And would you like to know which was the youngest of them all? 11 years old. Not in the Eastern Cape, not in the Northern Cape, no, not in Gauteng, but in the Western Cape, in city of Cape Town, there was an 11-year-old which was recorded, an adolescent was recorded at the day hospital or at your clinics or at your hospital that conceived a baby. And I mean, like, all various questions starts to arise from that. So the question needs to be asked: whose responsibility is this to make sure that our kids does not fall prey to this type of situations? And remember, from the age of 0 up to the age of 18, it is stipulated in the South African Constitution that that child is under the guardianship and under the stewardship of a parent, of a guardian, or of a foster parent. Because remember, that child can't strive on their own. That's why they are under the care and the grace of us as parents and foster parents and guardians. So this happened under our watch. So let's dive in and let's look at certain situations which must have led to this taking place. I was talking today to a friend and I was speaking about the educational system, and we were saying if you look back, the schooling system is not the same as it was 10, 15 years ago. So for 10, 15 years ago, teenagers would know, listen, you're off school, I have chess club, I have choir, I have rugby, I have soccer. If you look at today's society, especially our less fortunate environments like your Nyanga, Kuguletu, Philippe, Alcistrava, Kayalicha, the schools that we're having is in very unsafe environments. So the teacher then feels that, listen here, I'm only doing my job from 8 to 2 and I'm out of this place because it's very dangerous to start driving out of my area or out of the school's area from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock onwards. But if you look back 10 years ago, me and you as parents, we would still be at school playing rugby, playing hockey, singing in the choir until late in the evening, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Then our parents would used to pick us up, or we would be safe to walk still home, or the teacher will offer us a lift. But today it can't happen anymore. So that brings in the opportunity for learners to be vulnerable. Because if you think about it, the learner is alone at home, for example, from 2 when they leave school until 6, 7 in the evening, because some of our parents work till that late. And most of the time they're unsupervised. So this gives them ample time on their hands to do as much as they can, which is the most naughtiest things to do. And I mean, like, we invite this into our spaces, but then we also spoke about, remember, a lot of our parents does not have the facilities or the financial ability to say, listen, yeah, I'll put my child in an aftercare, or I'll put my child in some sport activity like swimming, hockey, after school programs. We do not have that financial stability to say, listen, yeah, I'll do that, because we are only currently working from Wusela Funny Hand to Timon. So, meaning the money that I earn is only covering the basic necessities. So that also brings in the communication of government and also our local stakeholders. That how do we play a role in curbing this problem? What do we do as a community to say, listen here, look how high the stats is 90,000 from 5,900 in the city of Cape Town alone, and the youngest age is at 11 years old. So, how our government and local stakeholders can play a major role in addressing these issues with us as a community is the following. So, I think there needs to be passed a bill to make after school programs and programs in general compulsory on our schools and at our community centers like your libraries, your community halls, etc. Because it's in that which we can fight this the surge of teenage pregnancies in our community. I mean, like putting a separate increment maybe in salaries that states that if you a parent, you qualify for this certain benefit that will go towards an after school program for your child. Maybe it can be hockey, netball, cricket, anything which they desire to play, anything that's maybe academically or that advanced them, etc. Because I think the other day I heard of safety schools, which is City of Cape Town initiated where it's like programs that they offer after school to create a safer environment for our kids to play in. Seeing that even our streets is now the most safe, most unsafe streets that you can currently live in. If you must think 15, 20 years back. I see a lot of development is also happening in certain areas. I look at Alsace River. It's opposite Norwood Primary, where there was I think it was a city that came in and said, listen, our boys don't have a safe environment to play soccer anymore, so let's do this. So they put up a whole soccer pitch there with lights, etc., fencing on to make it a comfortable and an inclusive space for our kids to enjoy their free time and just have fun. Because at the end of the day, with all the trauma as we as a South African nation has experienced, we just need to desire fun and heartwarmingness to our children because we want to break this generational curses which has been placed on us as a community. These teenage pregnancies also gets normalized by our community. It was the other day that I was sitting around and I was just thinking, I went to this house one day and I greeted this auntie, and she's like, "Oh no, Janine, let's just call her Janine is there in a room with her boyfriend." Janine is also a victim of teenage pregnancy. Janine was 13 when she gave birth to a child. And I got into the room, Janine and her boyfriend was laying there in bed, like nothing was wrong, and the mother is chilling in the living room. Like, this is, ah, no, man, this is just normal. She and her boyfriend is there. The mother is still giving acknowledgement to this crazy behavior. People, mothers and fathers, let me tell you something. This should not be condoned, man. Or should I say condemned? This should be condemned. Because how on earth do we accept that this is normal? You, the mother herself, didn't even have a boyfriend. But she's allowing a child that is only 13, 14 years old to lay with a man in bed and still sleeping over and say, it also speaks like this. When he does my squint seeing, hi bo, hi bo. She jou squint seeing, nie dis reg moeder. But do you see, did you see how this thing has been normalized, man? I see parents doing this thing when they say, "Oh no, I'm having a baby shower for my child. I'll eat sy teenage pregnancy. Ek gaan nog steeds vir haar baby shower gee." That is not, remember a baby shower, it's an honor for mothers that have walked the journey and said, listen here, I'm prepared to be a mother. I'm ready to stand in the fold. It's something, not all pregnancies is expected, but it's something they already planned for. A teenage pregnancy, you're giving acknowledgement to it by giving a baby shower, and friends and peers that sees this says also then, no, she didn't got a baby shower, then I also want when I have my baby before the age of 18. So let's stop with that culture as well. And the culture of where the parents just says, ach nee man, as die pa nie gaan werk, gaan ek maar in die middel staan, ek gaan maar die kinders koop. Moeder, ek verstaan u hart. But listen to what I have to say. We need to stop this because the fathers they say, and most of them, if you look around, they are unemployed. These boys that makes our girls pregnant, most of them are unemployed. And how do they get our girls? You let me just think about that. How do I get our girls? When our girls goes to school, they're in the taxis, all of these places, they are vulnerable. And now this guy sees them as prey, and they prey on these young, innocent babies. Because remember, when they're in the houses, they are sweet, they are loving. But as soon as they step out, the devil is there to attack them and to distract them from the goal, which is to finish school, matriculate, go to university, and have a prosperous life. But now they are stuck with a baby. And just think about it. How many of our kids still go back to school and say, listen, yeah, I did have my baby, I'm going to come back. It is few. It is few. Like the song says, many has been called, but few has heeded the call. You know. So I'm just thinking about that, man. So I would say the contributing factors to all of this increases in teenage pregnancies in our community, I would say, is the following. It is poverty, the poverty-stricken communities, and the lack of opportunities that is being given to our people. It is the insufficient after schooling programs that we have in our communities for our kids to enjoy themselves and express the talents that they have. I would say also it is the lack of knowledge when it comes to contraceptives and the stigma against it. Because in our communities we say, oh, as your birth control is, dan is jy besig. No, it's not always the case. When you put your child on birth control, you are just preventing the inevitable. If ever they should go down this route, you will know that if it is like that, they will not fall pregnant to this problem. And also the lack of sex education in the household, where kids feel scared to speak their mind and say, "Listen, here, mommy, I have this type of warm fuzziness feeling when I see this guy, etc." Speak to your parents, and parents listen to them, and let's not always demonize these kids when they come to us with this kind of topics and situations. Because what we do, we ons sê in Afrikaans, ons bestraf hulle onmiddellik en sê, nee, dis van die duiwel af en jy uitgelaat, etc. It's not always the case. Encourage them and explain to them why you're saying so, and tell them about the benefits of staying pure and the benefits of being a virgin until the day of marriage, and how it will benefit them and their partner in the future.
So with that, I would like to say, let's stay vigilant. Let's stay alert. Parents, brothers, all the brothers and sisters. Let's know that when this stuff hits our families, how to address it and how to even prevent it in many cases. So in the comment section, go down below. Please comment your experience you have had with teenage pregnancies, mothers and fathers. Please explain the hardship that they had with your child, taking on the grandchild that they didn't expect was going to come. Your child was only 13, 14. And express maybe this comment that you will encourage another parent on how to adjust the parenting skills, etc. So with that, I would like to say peace out.